Two places, one curse. No one survives. A burned school where 26 souls still wait. And an island that steals your identity. They don't just haunt, they replace you. Classroom 26, the island. Both are calling you. The Atlantic Ocean was unusually calm that evening. Too calm. Ethan Carter stood on the deck of the small fishing boat, staring at the horizon. He had spent most of his life around water, but something about tonight felt wrong. "Hey, Ethan!" shouted Jake from behind. "You zoning out again?" Ethan turned. "You ever heard of Black Hollow Island?" Jake laughed. "That place? Bro, that's just a stupid ghost story." From the cabin, Sarah stepped out, holding a map. "Actually, it's not just a story." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Sarah spread the map across a wooden crate. "This island doesn't appear on most maps, but I found it in an old maritime archive. Ships avoid it." "Why?" Jake asked, suddenly less confident. Sarah hesitated. "Because people who go there don't come back." A silence fell over the boat. The ocean wind suddenly felt colder. The decision. "You're joking, right?" Jake said nervously. "No," Sarah replied. "In the 1800s, a small settlement existed there. Fishermen, families. One night, they all vanished." "Vanished how?" Ethan asked. "No bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty houses?" Jake scoffed. "Probably pirates or something." Sarah shook her head. "Then explain why every rescue team after that also disappeared." Ethan looked back at the ocean. Something deep inside him stirred. Curiosity, or maybe something darker. "What if we go?" he said quietly. Jake blinked. "Are you serious?" "Think about it," Ethan continued. "We document it. This could blow up online. We'd go viral." Sarah hesitated. "It's dangerous." Ethan smiled slightly. "That's what makes it interesting." Jake sighed. Man, this is a bad idea." But he didn't say no. The island appears. 3 hours later, the fog rolled in, thick, unnatural. The GPS started glitching. "What the hell?" Jake muttered. "It's spinning." Sarah looked up. "We're close." Ethan narrowed his eyes. Through the fog, a shape appeared. An island, dark, silent, waiting. "No lights," Jake whispered. "No birds either," Sarah added. Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "Let's go." First step. The boat docked with a soft creak. The moment Ethan stepped onto the island, something felt off. The air was heavier, quieter, too quiet. "Do you hear that?" Sarah whispered. "Hear what?" Jake asked. "Exactly. No waves, no wind, nothing. Just silence." The abandoned village. They walked deeper into the island. Soon they found it. Old wooden houses, unbroken, rotting, but strangely untouched. "It's like everyone just left," Jake said. Ethan opened a door. Inside, furniture covered in dust, a table set for dinner, plates still there, as if time had frozen. Sarah's voice trembled. "This isn't normal." Ethan stepped further inside. Then, creak. He froze. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. Jake nodded. "Yeah, from upstairs." Sarah grabbed Ethan's arm. "Don't go up." But Ethan already was. The upstairs room. The stairs groaned under his weight, each step louder than the last. At the top, a hallway, dark, cold, a single door at the end, half open. Ethan slowly pushed it. Inside, a child's room, toys scattered, a rocking chair moving, on its own. Ethan's breath caught. "Guys," he whispered. No response. He turned back. No one was there. "Jake? Aunt Sarah?" Silence. Then, a whisper, right behind him. "Ethan!" He spun around. No one. But the rocking chair stopped. Suddenly, the first sign. Ethan ran downstairs. Jake, Sarah. They were outside. Where were you? Sarah shouted. You just disappeared, Jake added. What? I was upstairs. No, Sarah said firmly. You never went inside. Ethan's face went pale. That's not possible. Then Jake pointed. Guys? They turned. In the distance, at the edge of the village, a figure stood, watching them, tall, still, wrong. Night falls. Let's go back to the boat, Sarah said quickly, but when they reached the shore, the boat was gone. What? Jake panicked. Where did it go? No way, Ethan whispered. Sarah's voice shook. We're trapped. Then, from behind them, footsteps, slow, dragging. They turned. The figure was closer now, too close, and then it spoke, in a voice that wasn't human. You shouldn't have come. It was deep, hollow, like it came from somewhere far beneath the earth. You shouldn't have come. Ethan felt his chest tighten. His legs refused to move. Jake grabbed his arm. Run! That broke the spell. The three of them turned and sprinted back toward the village, their footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the silence. Behind them, they could hear it. Not running, not chasing, just walking, slow, deliberate, and somehow getting closer. Something is wrong. They burst into one of the abandoned houses and slammed the door shut. Jake pushed a broken table against it. That thing? What the hell was that? No one answered. Ethan was staring at his hands. They were shaking. I heard it say my name before, he whispered. Sarah looked at him. What? In the house. Upstairs. It knew my name. Jake swallowed. That's not possible. Sarah shook her head slowly. No, it is. They both looked at her. This island? It doesn't just haunt people, she said quietly. It studies them. A cold silence filled the room. The time loop. Okay, stop, Jake said. This is getting insane. We need logic. Then explain this, Sarah said, pointing to the window. Ethan looked. The sky. It hadn't changed. Still dark, still night. How long have we been here? Sarah asked. Jake checked his watch. It's 9:12 p.m. Ethan frowned. That's not right. We landed hours ago. Sarah slowly raised her wrist. Her watch read the same. 9:12 p.m. The second hand wasn't moving. Jake hit his watch. Come on, work! Nothing. Ethan stepped back. Time isn't moving. And as if the island heard him, tick, the second hand jumped, but not forward, backward. The watching. A sudden knock hit the door. All three froze. Knock, 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 slow, heavy, not like a person. Jake whispered, don't open it. Another knock. Then a voice, soft, familiar. Ethan, it's me. Ethan's eyes widened. Mom? Sarah grabbed him. No, that's not her. The voice came again, more desperate. Ethan, please, open the door. Tears formed in Ethan's eyes. That's her voice. Jake shook his head. It's not real. Then the voice changed, cracked, distorted. Let me in. The door began to shake, violently, the wood creaking under pressure. Back up, Jake shouted. The door burst open, face to face. It stood there, tall, too tall, its body twisted, like it wasn't built correctly. Its face was Ethan's mother, but wrong. The eyes were black, empty, the mouth stretched too wide, smiling. Ethan? It whispered. Ethan screamed. Jake grabbed a broken chair and swung it. The creature didn't flinch. The chair shattered against it like glass. Sarah pulled. Ethan, go! They ran out the back of the house. Behind them, that thing laughed, a horrible echoing sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The forest. They didn't stop running until they reached the forest. Tall, dead trees surrounded them. No leaves, no life, just darkness. "We lost it," Jake panted. "No," Sarah whispered. "It's letting us go." Ethan looked around. "Why?" Sarah's voice trembled. "Because it wants us deeper." A branch snapped behind them. They turned. Nothing. Then another snap. Closer. Jake grabbed a stick. "Oh, we're not alone." The truth beneath. They stumbled into a clearing and froze. The ground was covered in graves, hundreds, maybe thousands, old, new, some barely buried. "What is this?" Ethan whispered. Sarah stepped forward, reading one of the markers. Her face went pale. "No." "What?" Jake asked. She pointed. The grave read, "Jake Miller died." Tonight, Jake laughed nervously. "Okay, not funny." Ethan found another. His hands started shaking again. "Ethan Carter died. Tonight." "No." Ethan stepped back. Sarah slowly turned, tears in her eyes. "There's one for me too." The realization. "We're already dead," Jake whispered. "No," Sarah said quickly. "Not yet." "Then what is this?" Jake shouted. Sarah looked around, then said something chilling. "This island doesn't just kill you. It replaces you." Silence. Ethan's voice cracked. "What do you mean?" Sarah swallowed. "Those things. They learn you, copy you, and then they become you." Jake stepped back. "No! No way!" Sarah nodded slowly. "And when they're perfect, you disappear. Not alone." A sound came from the trees. Footsteps. Multiple. Slow. Ethan turned. Figures emerged from the darkness, one by one. Dozens of them. And each one looked human. Normal. Until you looked closer. Their smiles were too wide. Their eyes too empty. Jake whispered, "Oh my God." Then, one stepped forward. It looked exactly like Jake. Same clothes, same face, same voice. "Hey guys," it said casually. Jake staggered back. "That's not me." The copy smiled. "Not yet." The first death. Everything happened fast, too fast. The fake Jake lunged. Real Jake tried to run, but it grabbed him, hard. "Let go!" Jake screamed. Ethan rushed forward, but Sarah held him back. "No!" The creature's grip tightened. Jake's scream turned into something else. Something wrong. His body twisted, bones cracking, skin stretching. Then, silence. The creature dropped him. Jake lay on the ground, not moving. Ethan fell to his knees. "Jake." But behind him, another voice spoke. "Why are you crying?" Ethan turned slowly. Jake stood there, perfect, smiling. "The island wins." "That's not him," Ethan whispered. Sarah nodded, tears falling. "He's gone." The fake Jake tilted his head. "You're next," he said. The other figures started moving closer, surrounding them, closing in. Ethan grabbed Sarah's hand. "We have to run." "But where?" she cried. There was nowhere left to go. The island had them, completely. Then, the ground beneath Ethan shifted. He looked down, a hand, reaching out, from the soil, grabbing his leg. "No!" More hands, pulling, dragging him down. Sarah screamed his name. "Ethan!" Ethan clawed at the ground, but it was too late. The earth swallowed him. Final moment. The last thing Ethan saw was himself, standing above the grave, smiling, watching, waiting. The soil was cold, wet, alive. Ethan couldn't breathe. Hands dragged him deeper, pulling him into the earth like it was water. He tried to scream, but dirt filled his mouth. His lungs burned. Then, silence. Between life and death, Ethan opened his eyes. He wasn't buried anymore. He was standing, alone, in a place that wasn't the island, but wasn't anywhere else either. A grey void stretched endlessly around him. No sky, no ground, just emptiness. "Sarah?" he called out. No answer. Then, footsteps, slow, Echoing. Ethan turned. Someone was walking toward him from the fog. Tall. Familiar. Too familiar. It was him, the copy. The other Ethan smiled. Perfectly. "You lasted longer than most," it said calmly. Ethan stepped back. "What? Are you?" The copy tilted its head. "I'm you." "No," Ethan said. "You're not me." The thing chuckled. "That's the problem," it said. "I almost am." A cold chill ran through Ethan's body. "What do you want?" The copy's smile widened. "To finish becoming you." The truth of the island. The grey world began to shift. Images appeared around them, like memories. Ships crashing, people running, families screaming, all ending the same way. Vanishing. "This island," the copy said, walking slowly around Ethan, "is not a place. It's a hunger." Ethan's breathing grew heavier. "It feeds on identity," the copy continued. "Thoughts, memories, fear. And when it learns everything about you, it replaces you." Ethan shook his head. "Why?" The copy stopped. Its expression went dark. "Because it wants to leave." Silence. Ethan froze. "What do you mean?" The copy leaned closer. "Oh, it can't leave the island unless it becomes someone who can." The escape plan. Ethan's mind raced. "You mean you want to take my place and go back?" The copy smiled again. "Exactly. And no one would ever know," it added softly. Ethan clenched his fists. "I won't let you." The copy laughed. "You don't have a choice." The grey void began to crack, breaking apart. Reality shifting again, back to the island. Ethan gasped. He was back, on the island, lying on the ground near the graves. Night still hadn't changed, time still broken. "Sarah!" he shouted. No response. Then, a scream, far away. "Sarah!" Ethan ran. Sarah's fate. He found her near the shore, surrounded, dozens of copies closing in. Her own copy stood in front of her, smiling. "You can't escape," it said in her voice. Sarah held a broken piece of wood, shaking. "Stay back!" Ethan ran toward her. "Sarah!" She turned. "Ethan?" For a moment, hope. Then, the copies attacked. Ethan tried to fight them off, but they were too many, too strong, too wrong. They grabbed Sarah. She screamed, "Ethan, help me!" And then, silence. They let go. Her body dropped. Still, Ethan fell beside her. No, 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 no. But behind him, footsteps. He turned slowly. His copy stood there, watching, waiting, the final fight. "It's over," the copy said. Ethan stood up, tears in his eyes. "Then come finish it." The copy smiled. Gladly. It moved fast. Too fast. Ethan barely blocked the first strike. They fought. Punches. Struggles. Every move the copy made. Ethan knew, because it was him. "You can't win," the copy said. "I know everything you'll do." Ethan was losing. Slowly. Painfully. Then he remembered something. Something small. Something random. Something the island wouldn't care about. The one thing it didn't learn. Ethan stopped fighting. The copy frowned. "What are you doing?" Ethan smiled weakly. "You don't know everything." The copy tilted its head. "Yes, I do." Ethan whispered something, so quietly. Even the wind didn't hear it. The copy froze, for the first time. Confused. "What was that?" Ethan stepped forward. "That," he said, "was something I never told anyone." The copy's face twitched, cracking, its perfect expression breaking. "No, that's not possible." Ethan grabbed it. "You're not me," he said, "and you never will be." With one final push, he dragged the copy toward the ocean. The end. The water wasn't normal. It moved wrong, dark, alive. The copy screamed as it touched it, its body dissolving, breaking apart. "You need me!" it shrieked. Ethan didn't stop. They both fell into the ocean. Silence. Morning came. For the first time, the fog lifted. The island was quiet, still. A fishing boat approached slowly. A man stepped onto the shore, looking around, confused. "Hello?" he called. No answer. He walked toward the village, empty, dead. Then, footsteps behind him. He turned. Ethan stood there, wet, silent, smiling. "Hey," Ethan said calmly. "Welcome to the island." Next part equals the burned school. January 15th, 2005. The clock struck exactly 2 a.m. The entire town was asleep in the bone-chilling winter cold. But that night, a fire broke out. A fire that no one could ever forget. Saraswati Vidyaniketan, the oldest school in town, built right after independence in 1947. Red brick walls, tall windows, long corridors, and a massive bell that rang every morning at 8 a.m. For nearly 58 years, thousands of students had studied, laughed, and played in this school. But that night, everything ended. Nobody knew exactly how the fire started. The police said it was a short circuit, but those who had seen the fire that night told a different story. They said the fire didn't start from below. It started from classroom 26, the last room on the second floor, the room nobody ever entered, the room that had been locked for years and years. That night, 26 people died in the fire. 26 people. Classroom 26. Was the number a coincidence? Or something else? Among the dead were night guard Rahman Chacha, his wife Fatima Bibi, who cooked at the school, and 24 students who were there that night, rehearsing for the annual cultural program. The fire brigade arrived almost 45 minutes after the fire broke out. By then, the entire school was reduced to ashes. Only the walls remained, black, burned, cracked, like a skeleton. After that, the school was shut down. The land was declared abandoned. Nobody went near it. People who walked through that area at night would say they could smell burning flesh. Some said they could see shadows through the broken windows, small shadows, like children. But these were just rumors. Right? 2024, 19 years later. The town's new mayor, Abhijit Sengupta, decided the school would be reopened. It would be rebuilt as part of the town's development. Many people opposed it, especially those who had witnessed that fiery night. The families of the dead came out onto the streets. They said, "Don't build a school there again. Our children's blood has soaked into that soil." But the mayor didn't listen. He said, "We cannot surrender to superstition." Reconstruction of the school began. A new building was constructed on top of the old structure. Modern design, white paint, large windows, air-conditioned classrooms, everything shiny and new. But one thing didn't change. Classroom 26. Construction workers reported every time they applied new plaster to the walls of that room, it would fall off by morning. When they painted it white, and by the next morning, black marks would appear, like burn marks. One worker, Vishwanath, was working alone in that room one night. The next morning, he was found sitting in the corner of the room, eyes open, mouth open, but making no sound. He never spoke again. Doctors at the hospital said, extreme shock. But shock from what? What had Vishwanath seen in that room? Nobody knew, because Vishwanath never spoke again. Finally, on July 1st, 2024, the new Saraswati Vidyaniketan was officially inaugurated. The new headmaster was Shubhodip Chakraborty. 45 years old, came from outside town, didn't know much about the school's history. Along with him came 8 new teachers, and the students who enrolled Exactly 26. Yes, 26. The mayor said, "We are keeping the first batch small. It will grow later." But the number seemed deliberate, and as if someone had wanted the number to match. The first day went perfectly fine. The children were happy to be in the new school. Teachers took classes. During recess, children played in the field. Everything was normal. But in the evening, as everyone was leaving, Class 4 student Titli said something to her mother. "Mom, there weren't 26 kids in our class. There were 27. Her mother laughed. "You miscounted." Titli shook her head. "No, Mom, I counted correctly. There was a girl sitting in the back bench, but she didn't talk to anyone. And her dress looked kind of burned." Her mother froze. "What did you say?" "And Mom, her eyes, they looked kind of white. She had no pupils." That night at 1 a.m., the school's night guard, Subal, was doing his routine rounds with a torch. New shiny corridors and new tiled floors, everything looked fine. But going up to the second floor, he stopped dead in his tracks. The door of classroom 26 was open. Subal was certain. He himself had closed all the doors in the evening, had locked them. He slowly approached. He shone his torch inside the room. The room was empty, but something was written on the blackboard. Subal raised his torch and read, "We have returned, 26 of us. Will you play with us?" The writing wasn't done with white chalk. The writing was done with ash, burned ash. Subal's hands started shaking. He tried to back away, and right at that moment, a sound came from behind him. "Dada, will you play with us?" A child's voice, sweet, soft, but icy inside. Subal turned around. At the end of the corridor, in the darkness, a small girl was standing, wearing a white frock, but half of it was burned. Her hair was disheveled, half her face was charred, and her eyes, both eyes completely white, no pupils at all. Subal screamed and tried to run, but going down the stairs, he saw a child was sitting on every single step of the staircase. All burned, all with white eyes, all staring at him, and they all spoke together. "Where are you going? School isn't over yet." The next morning, Subal was found in the schoolyard, unconscious. His hair had turned completely white overnight. There were no injury marks on his body, but on his chest. There were 26 small handprints, like burn marks. Subal regained consciousness, but he kept repeating only one thing over and over. "They've come back. They've come back. They won't let anyone go. Classroom 26. Classroom 26. Headmaster Shubhodip didn't take it seriously. He said, "Mental breakdown? Get a new guard." But that afternoon, another incident happened. Class 3 student Arnab had gone to the washroom alone during recess. He came back crying and said, "Sir, I didn't see myself in the washroom mirror. There was another child in the mirror, a burned face, and he was reaching his hand toward me. He said, 'You are sitting in my place.'" Shubhodip calmed Arnab down, said it was imagination. But that night, Shubhodip was sitting in his office going through old files. He dug out the fire report from 2005. He read the list of the names of the dead, and at the end of the list, there was a note, handwritten by the investigating officer. 26 bodies have been recovered, but only 25 bodies have been identified. Whose body number 26 is remains unknown to this day. He/she was not a student. He/she was not a staff member. Who he/she was is unknown. Shubhodip's file dropped from his hands. The 26th body, unknown, unidentified. Then who was that 26th one? Who was it? And right at that moment, His office computer screen suddenly went black. Then a message appeared on the screen. You want to know who I am too? Then come to classroom 26, alone, tonight. Shubhadeep stared at the screen. The room temperature suddenly dropped. His breath was turning to fog, and in his ears came a sound. From far away, very far away, the sound of a school bell ringing. That bell, which had melted in the fire 19 years ago. The message that had appeared on the computer screen had disappeared within seconds. He convinced himself. It must be a virus, hacking, some logical explanation. But why did the room temperature suddenly drop? Where had that bell sound come from? At 2 a.m., Shubhadeep was lying in bed. His phone suddenly rang. The number was unknown. He answered. No voice on the other side, just a sound. Scratch, 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 like someone writing on a blackboard with chalk. Then a whisper. Sir, you will come, won't you? We are waiting. The call disconnected. Shubhadeep stayed awake all night. In the morning, he made a decision. He would get to the bottom of this mystery, but not alone. The next day, arriving at school, Shubhadeep first checked the register. 26 students, every name, address, guardian information, all there. But Teatley had said there were 27 in the class. Shubhadeep went to every class, counted the children. Class 1, 6 students, correct. Class 2, 7 students, correct. Class 3, 6 students, correct. Class 4, 7 students, no, 8 students. He counted again, 8 students, but the register said 7. He looked at the children, all familiar faces in the front rows. But in the back bench, toward the corner, a girl was sitting, head down, silent. Shubhadeep walked toward her. Who are you? What is your name? The girl didn't lift her head. Teatley whispered. Sir, that's her. She was there yesterday too, but she doesn't talk to anyone. Shubhadeep reached out to touch the girl's shoulder, and his hand passed through empty air, as if nobody was there, as if she was made of air. Shubhadeep stumbled backward in shock, but all the children could see the girl. She was visible to everyone. Shubhadeep swallowed hard. He quickly left the classroom. At noon, Shubhadeep started searching through old records. He looked for photos of those who had died in the 2005 fire. With great difficulty, he found some images from old newspaper archives. He went through the photos one by one. 25 identified bodies, all burned, all horrifying. But on the last page, there was only one photo of body number 26, a forensic photo. The body was the least burned, but the most strange, because the age of the body could not be determined. The forensic report stated, according to bone structure, age should be 10 to 12 years, but according to dental structure, age is 80 to 100 years. Carbon dating of the body, indeterminate. This is not possible. A chill ran down Shubhadeep's spine. A child's body that was over 100 years old. What was this? He dug further. Found a small news item in an old newspaper from 1947. While digging the foundation of Saraswati Vidyanikatan, a child's skeleton was found. Whose skeleton it is and how old it is remains unknown. Locals say this place was previously a cremation ground. Shubhadeep's eyes went wide. A cremation ground. This school was built on top of a cremation ground, and buried beneath the soil was a child's skeleton, unknown to everyone, unrecognized by anyone. Was this the 26th one? After school in the afternoon, Shubhadeep went to Reena Mom. Reena Mom was the class 4 teacher. Shubhadeep asked, "Did you see 8 children in the class?" Reena Mom was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Sir, I did see, but I thought I was mistaken. The girl, the girl smiles at me, but the smile doesn't look like a human smile. The smile looks very old, as if she forgot how to smile over many, many years and is learning again. Reena mom was trembling. And sir, I noticed something else today. When I was taking attendance, I was calling out each child's name. When everyone's name was finished, a voice from the back said, "My name?" I turned around. That girl was staring at me. I said, "What is your name?" She said, Reena mom stopped. Tears came to her eyes. She said, "I had no name. Nobody gave me a name. I was burned before I was even born." That night, Shubhadeep made a decision. He would go to classroom 26. At midnight, he came to the school. He brought a torch, a camera, and a recorder. Thus, the new night guard had fled after Subal's incident. The school was completely empty. He went up the stairs to the second floor. The corridor was empty. His footsteps were echoing. The tube lights were on, but flickering occasionally. He stood in front of the door of classroom 26. Door closed. He grabbed the handle, cold as ice. He opened the door. The room was dark. He switched on his torch. The light fell on the floor of the room, and Shubhadeep froze. 26 chairs were arranged on the floor in a circle, and on every chair a school bag was placed. Burned, torn, black. Where did these bags come from? These should have burned in the fire 19 years ago. Shubhadeep slowly walked to the middle of the room. He looked at the blackboard. Unwritten there was, "Today's lesson, death." And below, "Teacher, the one who burned us." Shubhadeep's hands were shaking. He switched on his recorder. Right at that moment, all the windows of the room slammed shut together. The door too. Bang! And the room temperature plummeted. Shubhadeep's breath was turning to fog. The torch light started flickering. Then, the chairs started moving one by themselves, as if someone was sitting down, as if someone invisible. Shubhadeep swept his torch around and saw children were now sitting in the chairs. 26 children, all burned, all charred, some missing hands, some with half their face melted away, some with eye sockets empty and hollow, and they were all staring at Shubhadeep. One boy, whose entire left side was completely black, stood up. He said, "Sir, are you our new teacher? Our previous teacher burned us." Shubhadeep somehow managed to say, "Who? Who burned you?" All the children said together, Ma'am burned us. Ma'am said, none of you will survive." Mom set the fire and locked the door. "Which ma'am?" Shubhadeep screamed. The children all pointed their fingers together, toward the blackboard. A new line appeared on the blackboard. "Reena Das, Class 4 Teacher, 2005. Shubhadeep's head started spinning. Reena Das, Reena Mom, who was now the Class 4 teacher at this new school too. But how was that possible? Reena Mom was a new teacher. She came from outside town. Or did she? Right then the room door swung open, and standing in the doorway was the Reena Mom. But Shubhadeep couldn't recognize her when he looked. Reena Mom's appearance had changed, but her eyes were pitch black, the entire eyes, including the whites. Her lips held a smile, wide, unnatural, stretched to her ears. In her hand was a can of kerosene. She said, "You came to this room too, Shubhadeep? Good, very good. In 2005, 26 people burned, but that wasn't enough. More is needed. He needs more." "Who is he?" Shubhadeep asked, his voice shaking. Reena Mom pointed toward the floor, downward, under the ground. "Him, the one who sleeps beneath this soil, the one who was killed before birth, the one who was buried in this earth, without any ritual, without any prayer. He has been hungry for years, underground, and his hunger has grown. He eats the souls of children because he himself could not be born as a child. He wants to be born through others. 26 souls. This is a doorway for him. If he consumes 26 souls, and he will emerge from beneath the ground with a complete body. And then, what will happen then? Shubhadeep asked. Fear was in Kalipada's eyes. That 80-year-old man's eyes held fear. Then he won't be confined to this school. Then he will spread everywhere, to every child, into every home, into every dream. Right at that moment, the floor started shaking. The entire room was trembling. Cracks appeared in the walls, and in the middle of the floor, a crack formed. From that crack rose smoke, black, thick, suffocating smoke, and from within the smoke emerged a hand, a tiny hand, a child's hand. That hand moved toward Reena Mom's feet. Reena Mom's smile disappeared. Fear appeared in her eyes. No, no, but I served you. I gave you food. A voice rose from that crack, a child's voice but inhuman, and echoing, You gave me food, but now I will eat you. Shubhadeep ran out of the room. Behind him, Reena Mom's screams could be heard. Terrible, inhuman screams. And the children's laughter. Cold, icy laughter. He ran down the stairs, didn't look back, stopped when he reached outside the gate. No sound came from behind. The school was completely silent. But in the last window on the second floor, the window of classroom 26, a small face could be seen. That nameless girl. She was looking at Shubhadeep, and she was smiling. The police arrived the next morning. Shubhadeep had called the night before. He had told everything. Classroom 26, the burned children, Reena Mom, the crack in the floor, everything. Inspector Debashis Ghosh had laughed listening to Shubhadeep at first. But then he came to the school, and the laughter vanished. The door of classroom 26 was open. In the middle of the room, Reena Mom's body was lying. But the body, looking at the body, one of the police constables vomited. Reena Mom's body was completely burned, down to the bone. But nowhere else in the room was there any sign of fire. The walls, floor, ceiling, not a single scorch mark anywhere. Only her body had burned to a skeleton, as if the fire had caught only her, as if it had consumed only her. And the skeleton's face was smiling. The jawbones were open, and as if in the moment of death she was smiling or screaming. On the floor there were no cracks. The crack that Shubhadeep had described left no trace. But on the floor, right around the skeleton, there were 26 small footprints, children's footprints, drawn in ash. Inspector Debashis called the forensic team. They examined the entire room. The report came back. No flammable substance found. No kerosene, no petrol, nothing. Source of fire, unknown. Inspector Debashis asked Shubhadeep, Are you sure what you saw was real? Or are you... Shubhadeep took out his recorder. He had switched it on the night before. He played it. First few minutes, silence. Then, the children's voices were heard, clear, distinct. Sir, are you our new teacher? This was recorded. Then Reena Mom's voice. He protects me? This was recorded too. And at the end, that child's voice. Now I will eat you. Hearing this, Inspector Debashis' face turned white. Mayor Abhijit Sengupta came and tried to suppress everything. He said, Reena Mom committed suicide. There is no reason to close the school. But Shubhadeep refused. He said, The school must be closed. The children must be removed from here. Something is beneath the ground, and it is hungry. The mayor laughed. Superstition. But that afternoon, among the 26 students of the school, a strange change was observed. Every child, every single one, had drawn a picture. Not in drawing class, on their own. Nobody told them to draw, but they had all drawn the same picture. A burned school, and in front of it, 27 children are standing. 26 have white eyes, and the 27th, in the middle, has no eyes at all. Where eyes should be are two black holes. On the back of every picture, the same line was written: "We will soon be complete." Shubhadeep looked at the pictures and started trembling. He understood. The entity beneath the ground was not satisfied after consuming Reena Mom. It wanted more. It wanted 26 new souls, new children's souls. Then it would be complete. Then it would be free. And those 26 burned souls, were they helping, or were they also part of this game? That night, Shubhadeep made a decision. He couldn't fight this battle alone. He tracked down Tantric Kalipada Bhattacharya, an 80-year-old man. He lived outside town, by the river, in a small hut. Shubhadeep told him everything. Kalipada listened to everything and stayed silent for a long time. Then he said, "This is no ordinary ghost or spirit, son. This is very ancient. This is an unsatisfied soul, one that was killed before birth. It was buried in the soil of a cremation ground, without any ritual, without any prayer. It has remained hungry for years, underground, and its hunger has grown. It wants children's souls, because it itself could not be born as a child. It wants to be born through others. 26 souls. This is a doorway for it. If it consumes 26 souls, it will emerge from beneath the ground with a complete body. And then, what will happen then?" Shubhadeep asked. Fear was in Kalipada's eyes. That 80-year-old man's eyes held fear. Then it won't be confined to this school. Then it will spread everywhere, to every child, into every home, into every dream. Kalipada said there was only one way, and the skeleton beneath the ground must be dug up and given release through proper ritual. But it had to be done before tomorrow night, because tomorrow was a full moon, and on a full moon night, the entity would be at its most powerful. The next morning, Shubhadeep went to the mayor. He asked for permission to dig up the floor of classroom 26. The mayor initially refused, but Shubhadeep played the audio from the recorder, showed the pictures the children had drawn, showed Reena Mom's death forensic report. The mayor finally gave permission, but said, "If you find nothing, you will lose your job." That afternoon at 4 p.m., the digging began. The floor of classroom 26 was broken up. Under the new tiles, old concrete. Under the concrete, soil. After digging 3 feet, a smell rose up, the smell of burned flesh, so intense that many workers backed away. After 4 feet, a piece of cloth was found, old, worn, but not burned. At 5 feet, bones, small bones, a child's skeleton, but everyone froze looking at the skeleton. The skeleton was not normal. The bones were black, not burned, but black, as if blackened from the inside. And around the skeleton, in the soil, there were nail marks, as if it had been buried alive, as if it had tried to claw its way out of the ground, but couldn't. Kalipada had come. He looked at the skeleton and started chanting mantras. He lit incense. He sprinkled holy water from the Ganges. But right then, the sky turned black. At 4 p.m., the sky became so dark it was like night had fallen. Cold wind started blowing, and that old school bell, which had melted in the fire 19 years ago, started ringing. Dong. Dong! Dong! Where was it ringing from? Nobody knew, but the sound was echoing throughout the entire school. Kalipada screamed, "Quickly, pull out the skeleton. All of it. The workers, trembling, started lifting the skeleton, and right then, blood started dripping from the walls, from all four walls of classroom 26, dark red, thick blood, streaming downward. And on the walls, faces were appearing, children's faces, 26 faces, burned, distorted, agonized. They were screaming from inside the walls. Give us release too. We are also prisoners. It has trapped us too. Shubhadeep understood. The burned children were not enemies. They were also prisoners. That entity beneath the ground had kept them prisoner too, for 19 years. Kalipada removed the skeleton completely. Then he lit a fire in a clay pot. Pure fire, out of ghee and camphor, and placed the skeleton in that fire. He started chanting mantras in Sanskrit, ancient mantras. His voice was trembling, but he didn't stop. The skeleton's bones started burning in the fire, and the entire school shook like an earthquake. The window glass shattered, tube lights burst. From the pit in the floor, that black smoke rose again, and this time the smoke took on a shape, the shape of a child. But the child was abnormal. Its mouth was enormous, open, like a crater. Where its eyes should have been were two burning coals, and from its mouth came a scream that could shatter your eardrums. Give me back. I want to be born. I want to live. Kalipada screamed. You are being given release. You are being given peace. This fire will break your chains. Go. Return to where you came from. The last bone of the skeleton turned to ash, and an explosion happened. A soundless explosion, a flash of light. Then, silence. Complete silence. The black smoke disappeared. The blood on the walls dried up. The faces disappeared. The sky cleared again. Sunlight entered the classroom. The bell stopped ringing. Shubhadeep collapsed to the floor. Kalipada leaned exhausted against the wall. The workers were shaking, but it was over. Afterward, the school was closed, permanently. The mayor raised no objection this time. The land was declared abandoned. Later, a park was built there, a children's park. 26 trees were planted, in memory of the 26 children who had died. Under each tree, a nameplate. Shubhadeep resigned from his position as headmaster. He never worked at any school again. Subal slowly recovered, but he never walked down that road again. Bishwanath, the worker who had lost his speech, one day suddenly started speaking again. His first words were, "It's gone." After that, he never spoke of that night again. And Titli? Titli grew up, but sometimes she would tell her mother, "Mom, I see that girl in my dreams sometimes. She thanks me. She says, 'You saw me. You were the first one to see me.'" But was the story really over? 6 months after the park was built, one evening, the park gardener Haripada noticed something strange. Among the 26 trees, there was one extra tree, a 27th tree, that nobody had planted, that had grown overnight. There was no nameplate under the tree, but on the trunk, carved into the bark, as if someone had scratched it with their nails, "I am still here." And that night, throughout the entire park, the smell of burning filled the air.